Good afternoon. Thanks everybody for joining. I guess we've been cool. There's less people coming in. All right. So we've been through a lot of very technical talks over the last 3 days, and I'm very happy to come here and introduce Revelator Labs and a new project that we're launching today, actually, with a few of our partners, and kind of speak about the real-world use cases of all this technology that we've been developing in the blockchain ecosystem. My name is Gilad. I've been in the blockchain space since around 2013, kind of running the Ethereum meetups in my hometown, and I've been a musician since as far as I can remember, and my formal education as a musician, and got into fintech later in life. And as soon as I kind of learned about smart contracts, I knew this was a perfect solution for the music industry, but I also knew it was one of the most difficult industries to change and adapt. So as a music enthusiast, I've been also collecting music NFTs, and really enjoying a lot of the experimentation happening in the space. But it was not until I met Bruno Getz, the founder of Revelator, that I saw a real opportunity to start creating a shift to the music industry from within. So for that reason, I've joined Revelator about a year and a half ago, helping the company build a Web3 strategy, mainly through experimentation and bringing a lot of education to the market about what self-custody and smart contracts can bring to the end users. And we decided to formulate Revelator Labs to have an incubator environment where we can connect between blockchain developers, music companies, and recording artists to try and create a new value for music by not replacing how consumers consume music, but how the underlying value in the music industry flows in a more transparent and efficient way. So that's basically our mission at Revelator Labs. And the most important and fundamental thing to understand about the differentiation between, let's say, other music projects that I'm sure you've heard of in the blockchain space is that we don't tokenize the media itself. So it's not about what you call music NFTs, but rather about the tokenization of the cash flow under published music assets. So when somebody releases a song to Spotify or YouTube, there is contracts in the back end that the distributor needs to collect money and then send back to rights holders. And this is a very complicated industry built on scaffolds of legal requirements that have been developed over the 2 centuries since they invented the printing press, basically. And there is a huge gap between the legal framework and the actual way that music is being distributed and consumed. So we'll try to give you a little bit background on that, but really without getting too technical, our mission here is to really expose the opportunity and some of the great projects that are being built on Revelator Labs, and the fact that we're really excited about opening up over the course of the following months. We're going to be opening up our repository, some of our code, allowing blockchain developers to leverage the technology that we're developing and build this new ecosystem together with us. So just to have an understanding, the streaming music economy today is roughly around $45 billion in value annually, and it's estimated to grow to $130 billion a year. And there's a lot of new music being distributed, and the creator economy is also creating a boost to the amount of music being consumed. And let's not even get started with AI. But just to kind of give you a context, there's 250,000 songs being distributed every day to all these platforms. So our mission, as I said, is to really make the flow of royalties more transparent and more efficient. And the key point to understand here is that musicians will always rely on intermediaries. So the fact that we want to disintermediate the industry is not necessarily about making every single artist his own entrepreneur that needs to build his entire supply chain, but rather govern the intermediary step between distribution and royalty collection by smart contracts rather than centralized databases, administrators, and opaque contracts. So basically, by tokenizing the cash flow, we can allow the rights holders to have self-custody of the royalties, whether they're generated on Web3 or Web2. We, as a distributor, are able to tokenize that cash flow and give access to the royalties on-chain. And once the royalties flow on-chain, it opens up a whole new set of use cases that I'd love to go through today. And we're also very excited to have one of our partners here to present how they're building a new music ecosystem in South Africa and the African continent, using our technology. So I'm going to give you a quick preview of what we've built, what we're making accessible now to the developer community, and then we'll have Toby from Tallrax present their use case. So one other very important mission for us is to bridge the gap between Web2 and Web3. So after the last NFT bull market, there was almost a cultural divide in the young artists that were starting to produce music, where artists who are not satisfied with the streaming economy had this vision that they were going to publish music as NFTs and sell directly to consumers, which is a really great experiment and also a really great economy for collectors who value the authenticity or scarcity of media, even if it's in the form of digital assets. But it's still a niche audience. And we don't necessarily believe that because there is a new way to consume music, it's going to re-educate the entire consumer market of how to consume music. So when people pay $7.99 and get access to all the music in the world, they're probably not going to want to degrade their access to music. So as today we're serving Web2 artists who are distributing music to all the different digital streaming platforms, we want to enable our artists to get paid on chain, but also distribute a subset of their catalog as NFTs and direct to fan consumption. Now, these NFTs don't necessarily have to be music NFTs. They can have several different utilities, and we're going to look at those different utilities as well. And every artist in our vision should be able to get paid in any way they want. If they want to distribute in Web2 and get paid through a smart contract, or if they want to distribute in Web3 and get paid in fiat, we want to abstract that entire layer away and allow music businesses to on-ramp into Web3 without necessarily knowing how Web3 works or what is the technical underlying infrastructure. So, a little bit about our products, kind of to get you to understand where we come from and where we're headed. So Revelator has its flagship product called Revelator Pro. It's been around for the last decade. And so over 10 years, we've grown to distribute music, and the current count is that we're processing 6 billion streams a month. What that means is that we collect the media from our customers, so those are labels, those are other distributors who use our infrastructure, and that could be also independent artists or independent labels. They deliver the music to us. We package it into a format that is called DDEX. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. That's kind of a standard in the music industry that provides all the metadata and all the different file formats. We deliver that to the digital streaming platforms. We serve almost 40 different platforms. So all of you know Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, the UGC platforms as well, of course. And globally, there's also a lot of telco companies, especially in Southeast Asia, who still have their own streaming services. So we're able to distribute any piece of music globally. And today we process over 6 billion streams every month. Last year, we distributed over $100 million in revenue. But that was all done on our centralized servers, and at the end of the day settled through payment providers in fiat, whether it's PayPal, a company called Tipalti, and there's a lot of administrative work that goes into administrating that. So the way we think about it is that the supply chain of music has become completely digitized. So this happened thanks to the transition from physical to digital. So the beginning was with the iPod that really did shift consumer behavior, and people got used to downloading and paying per song. But that caused the complete digitalization of the supply chain, and that led to the streaming economy. And until today, the vast majority of music is distributed in a digital fashion, although vinyl, as you probably know also, has been resurfaced as well. So even though the distribution of music is fully digital, the administration of the contracts is merely a representation of paper contracts, and those are fully opaque. And the artist usually gets paid after a lot of intermediaries have handled the cash flow, and there is not direct and transparent correlation between the payment and the consumption. And that is very much part of the efficiency we want to bring back to the market. So the way we are doing this is by creating a protocol that we are now starting to make permissionless. So this has been developed in-house within Revelator, and we've done several very cool pilots with royalty societies, different labels, and different geographies. And what we're essentially doing is creating a unique royalty asset that has any number of tokens representing rights to receive revenue. So if I have a song and it has 100% ownership on the master side, I'm not going to publishing right now because it's a whole other story. But as an artist, I'm able, or as a rights holder, I'm able to distribute the music through Revelator, and then I have a right to receive revenue. And these rights are basically split between all the creatives who are involved in the process. So instead of storing that contract on our AWS machine and then calculating at the end of the month and then creating an invoice and then sending that to our accountant who sends that then to PayPal and then PayPal sends the money to the bank, what we do is we create a smart contract for every song that is distributed through our system. And then today we are the only Oracle on the network because this is still a closed ecosystem. But as an Oracle, we're essentially a payment provider. We are the registered, the legally obligated party to collect revenue from the DSPs, the digital streaming platforms, and make the payment back to the rights holders. So instead of going through all this centralized infrastructure, today we are able, together after partnering with Circle, we're able to convert the fiat we receive from all these streaming platforms, convert that to USDC, and make a single payment to a smart contract. So if you can imagine, as an artist, if I want to give a promoter who has a music blog and is creating playlists and helping artists get exposed, if I want to reward him with 0.5% of my revenue, Revelator is not really able to scale that up and start registering rights holders and their bank accounts for every 0.5%. But with a smart contract, we can split it to 10,000 individual shares, and I can start allocating shares because they're in my wallet, and that's the meaning of self-custody. Because Revelator is going to continue to pay the smart contract at the end of every month, but the smart contract will split it as many ways as it has been distributed between the rights holders. And then once royalties start flowing on chain, it opens up an opportunity to create an entire DApp ecosystem on the intersection of finance and music. So those are the projects that we're bringing on. So this is it's a bit bright here, but I hope you can see this is a very oversimplified diagram where rights holders distribute the music to the platforms pay money, and this is where Revelator comes in as a payment oracle and makes payment to the smart contract. That smart contract then sends money to all the different rights holders and, of course, to all the different applications that can be plugged in to the royalty token. On top of that, one of the first implementations outside of the Revelator ecosystem is the Original Works Explorer, and this has just been deployed on the base Sequoia network, and this is part of the repository that we're going to make available to the developer ecosystem, where anybody in the world can come and verify the validity of an asset, whether it's been distributed to which platforms, and ensure that the rights that are registered and the rights that he sees in his wallet are also publicly minted on the blockchain. One of our goals is, of course, to add the privacy layer as we mature and we start working with the major labels and royalty societies. We want to ensure that everybody can prove their ownership cryptographically, but not share publicly what they own. So that is one of our goals as we open up the ecosystem to the developer community to provide different privacy implementations that we can mature the ecosystem and bring it to, let's say, enterprise-grade solution. So, by the way, anybody who is interested, we're set up in the room behind here. If you want to see a demo of all these products, we'd be happy to show you. And at the end of the slides, you also have a QR code, so you can also follow us and get updates once all of these materials come available online. On top of the Explorer, which is a desktop interface, we also have developed the Revelator Wallet, which is the first client on the Original Works protocol, allowing rights holders to see the metadata. So you can have your shares. These are ERC standards. It could be ERC20 or ERC 1155. So you can hold them on your MetaMask, Coinbase wallet, Rainbow wallet. But because we have a unique metadata infrastructure that correlates with the music industry, the Revelator wallet allows you to see all this information in a very user-friendly manner. And of course, because these royalties or rights to receive royalties are held in self-custody, you can use the wallet to send any amount of shares to anybody in the world with just 2 clicks without involving all the administrative headache of the centralized solution. So as I said, once we go through this step and we start having native digital assets representing the income of a musical asset, it opens up an entire new world of applications. So just some of these case studies that are starting to release products on the Revelator Labs ecosystem. And I'll go through them briefly and then give the stage to Toby to tell you about the exciting new opportunity in South Africa. So one of the products that is launching, and they're going to be presenting, by the way, in the Future Music Forum, which is another great conference happening here in Barcelona in a few months. Kieku is an AI tool that allows musicians to monetize their musical IP by training AI models. So I'm sure you're all familiar with AI language models. Kieku have been developing for over the last 2 years a very intelligent musical language model that knows to interpret basically harmonic interpretation, dynamics of a certain musician, how every musician interprets a bass line will be very different. So if Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers plays a bass line, it will sound very different to Paul McCartney. So they've developed a mechanism for musicians to train an AI model, and they're creating what we call VST, which are virtual instruments that every music producer today uses in their digital audio workstation. And they basically can write a bass line and then shop the different musicians and hear how each of them would play the bass differently. So in order to compensate those musicians and allow them to monetize their style of playing, they have partnered with us. So for every song being released using the technology, we're able to register the rights of the creators, but also ensure that royalties are going to flow back to the Kieku platform and split that with the trainer of that specific model. Similarly, we have also partnered with a company called Pixelink. Some of you might have heard of them. They've been around for quite a while. and they have partnered with deadmau5 and his label called Mousetrap. They have uploaded over 100,000 different stems and tracks and beats of all the DJs in the Mousetrap label and a few other independent artists, allowing creators to interact in a kind of metaverse application. They have different UIs and almost gamify the entire experience. And they allow creators to create new tracks. They've got to almost 200,000 unique tracks with fully licensed stems from this label. And today they allow them to mint NFTs, sell those NFTs, and they use our solution in Original Works to split the royalties every time an NFT sells. Now we're moving to the next stage. We're going to allow all the creators to also distribute through the Revelator Pro application. Basically, they connect to us with API, and any creator can also send the track he created together with his favorite DJs and send that to Spotify, and we take care of the royalties and again send that back to the smart contract, so everything happens programmatically. One of the most exciting opportunities is helping artists, especially when they're starting off, access liquidity. This is a huge problem in the industry. Today, if you want to get an advance on your royalties, you need to create an LLC. I'm giving an example from the US, but you have to create an LLC. You have to find a custodian, and you have to tell Revelator, in this case, the distributor, to do a letter of redirection. So because you got an advance, now Revelator needs to know to pay the lender, and then the custodian needs to administer the loan, and whenever the loan is paid off, he needs to ensure that the royalties are going to go back to the original holder. Obviously, with smart contracts, we can automate all of this. So as long as you have, we've partnered with Thought Digital, which is a DeFi platform in the US, and they allow us to they allow our users to deposit the royalty tokens, because the royalty tokens have immutable record of the revenue they've done on chain. And the smart contract can see, okay, this song now created $50 every month, and I can give this artist $150 in advance. The smart contract takes the royalty tokens in custody. Revelator does not necessarily need to be aware. We continue paying the smart contract until the DeFi pool repays, the DeFi pool gets the entire amount back, and then the royalty tokens go directly back to the artist who deposited them. So this allows us to unlock microloans in an ecosystem that you did not have any possibility of getting small financing solutions. And this is very useful in the developing economies, but also to artists in the West, because what we allow you to do is also pack several royalty tokens in a single asset. So if you have 20 songs and each one makes $50, you can create one pack of royalty tokens that has a cash flow of, let's say, $2,000 a month, and then you get a $6,000 advance from Thought Digital because all your tokens are paying to a single address. So all these features have already been developed, and we're rolling them out into production over the next few months. And then I want to give time for Tallracks to present as well. So Tallracks is a really amazing opportunity where we're partnering with artists from South Africa who have the ability to use the Revelator Labs ecosystem to create NFTs, sell them directly to the creator community, and build new music together with the founder of the label called Nasty C. And Toby will tell you all about that in a few minutes. The idea is to allow artists to generate their own decentralized label. And as I said, a lot of artists are going to always rely on intermediaries. But just like deadmau5, every once in a while there's an entrepreneurial artist who can leverage their own community and build a creator economy around their brand. So by creating digital native assets of the royalties, we allow any artist to leverage their creative economy and their creative community and create an economy around it. So a little bit about our team. We have myself, and as I said, Bruno Getz, who started Revelator more than 10 years ago, and he had the vision of Web3 already in 2016, and happily we started developing it around three and a half years ago. I joined the team about 2 years ago, and we're finally ready to take this into production. And we've just recently been joined by Josh, who came from Serenade. If you guys heard about Serenade, they've done a really great job of integrating the real world music industry by doing digital pressings and allowing recording artists and really big bands to also tap into the Web3 economy. And Arnau, who's here native in Barcelona with a lot of experience in the music industry, and also created a great platform called Gutsu that allows you to connect between brands and artists. So a really great vision of how we can bridge between the music economy and the Web3 economy. And Alejandro, who joined us, also native to Spain, came from the Bitcoin Stacks ecosystem. And we have more product and tokenomics leads who are also offshore. The team itself, we're around 60 people in Revelator, and the Web3 team is now starting to grow, but we're opening up and happy to connect with all the different blockchains and all the different ecosystems with a vision of being cross-chain in the long term. So we'll be happy to see you guys join us in building the future of music. And one important thing, we have two missions that we've set out for this year, which is scalability and cross-chain, and that's part of the reason we are opening this up. The idea is that Revelator is the first oracle in the network, but our vision is that any distributor who today use all these intermediaries to administer their payments can simply go in to the Original Works protocol, set up their own infrastructure, and start tokenizing their catalog. And of course, as I said earlier, privacy is a very, very important milestone in order to make this scalable and accessible for the entire music industry. So thank you very much. I would happily invite Toby to tell you a bit more about Tallracks and the vision for the African music market. And please follow us and join the mailing list, and there's a lot of exciting news coming up over the next few months. So thank you very much for your time, and happy to invite Toby.